The backyard was packed with people I had invited to celebrate my 35th birthday. String lights hung across the fence, casting warm glows over tables filled with food and drinks. My coworkers mingled with old friends, and family members clustered near the grill where my stepfather flipped burgers. Everything seemed perfect until my mother stood up with a wine glass in her hand. "Everyone, can I have your attention?" she called out, tapping her glass with a spoon. The conversations died down. People turned to face her, smiling, expecting a sweet birthday toast. My stomach tightened. I knew that look on her face. "I just want to say how proud I am that my son Daniel finally managed to throw a party without asking me for money," she began. A few people chuckled nervously. Honestly, I didn't think he had it in him. This is the same boy who couldn't hold down a job, couldn't manage his finances, and well, let's just say responsibility has never been his strong suit. Laughter rippled through the crowd. My face burned. My wife Vanessa stood beside me, silent, staring at her shoes. I felt frozen, unable to move or speak. Then, as my mother continued her mocking speech, 3 black SUVs pulled into my driveway. "My name is Daniel Turner. I'm 35 years old, from Columbus, Ohio. Before I continue, please subscribe to this channel for more fascinating stories like this one. You won't regret it." The SUVs parked in a perfect line. Car doors opened simultaneously, and 6 men in sharp business suits stepped out. They weren't smiling or casual. They moved with purpose, scanning the party until their eyes landed on me. The tallest one, a man with silver hair, walked directly toward me. "Mr. Turner," he said, extending his hand with a firm shake. "Apologies for the interruption. We tried calling, but your phone went to voicemail." My mother's voice trailed off mid-sentence. Every head in the backyard turned toward us. Whispers spread like wildfire. Who were these people? Why were they here? My stepfather put down his spatula. Vanessa grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "What's going on?" she hissed under her breath. I kept my expression neutral, professional. "Just some work stuff," I said quietly. "Nothing important." The silver-haired man smiled knowingly. "We can discuss the details Monday morning, sir. Congratulations again." They shook my hand once more, nodded politely to the crowd, and returned to their vehicles. Within seconds, they were gone. Growing up, my mother never believed in anything I did. When I was 12, I started a small lawn mowing business in our neighborhood. I saved up $70 in my first month. I was so proud. I showed her the cash, thinking she'd be impressed. Instead, she laughed and told my aunt right in front of me that I'd probably spend it all on comic books within a week. When I was 16, I got my first real job at a hardware store. I worked weekends and saved money for a car. My mother told relatives I was wasting my time because I'd never amount to anything anyway. When I graduated high school with decent grades and got accepted into community college, she said it was a participation trophy school that accepted anyone. Every dream I mentioned, she crushed. Every goal I set, she mocked. She told cousins, neighbors, and friends that I was the irresponsible one, the one who would never grow up. She compared me constantly to my older brother Kyle, who became a dentist. According to her, Kyle was perfect, and I was a mistake she had to tolerate. By the time I turned 25, I stopped sharing anything with her. I stopped seeking her approval. What my mother never knew was how badly I had actually failed before rebuilding myself. At 27, I went through a devastating divorce from my first wife. We had married young, too young, and when the relationship fell apart, so did my finances. I filed for bankruptcy after mounting credit card debt, and legal fees crushed me. I lost my apartment and moved into a friend's basement for 8 months. My family didn't offer help. My mother told people I was too irresponsible to manage money. My brother Kyle refused to return my calls. I felt completely abandoned, like I didn't matter to anyone. But something shifted inside me during those dark months. I decided that I would rebuild, but this time I would do it quietly. I wouldn't announce my wins. I wouldn't brag or seek validation. I would just work, improve, and keep my success private. If they wanted to believe I was a failure, fine. I didn't need their applause anymore. I took a job as a junior analyst at a mid-sized logistics company. I worked late nights, took on extra projects, and learned everything I could. Within 3 years, I was promoted to senior analyst. Within 5 years, I was managing entire accounts. 6 months before my birthday party, my CEO called me into his office. His name was Vincent Caldwell, a sharp, no-nonsense man in his 60s who had built the company from the ground up. He didn't waste time with small talk. "Daniel, I'm considering you for regional director," he said, leaning back in his leather chair. "It's a significant promotion. You'd oversee operations across 4 states, manage partnerships with over 30 companies, and report directly to me." I felt my pulse quicken, but I kept my face calm. "I'm honored, sir." "You should be," he said with a slight smile. "But I need to know you're ready. This role involves tough decisions. You'll have authority over contract renewals, audits, and compliance. Some of our partner companies might not like the changes we're implementing." He slid a folder across his desk. I opened it and scanned the list of partner businesses. My heart stopped when I saw the name, Brennan Industrial Solutions. That was my stepfather's company. He had owned it for 15 years, supplying equipment to our logistics network. "Is there a problem?" Vincent asked, watching me closely. I closed the folder. "No, sir. No problem at all." That evening, I came home to find Vanessa on the phone in the kitchen. She didn't hear me come in. Her voice was low, frustrated. I know, she was saying. "He just doesn't get it. He's so caught up in work that he doesn't see how his choices affect us. You're right. He's always been a little irresponsible about priorities." I stepped into the doorway. She jumped, startled, and quickly ended the call. "Who was that?" I asked. "Just a friend," she said, avoiding eye contact. But I knew. I had heard my mother's voice faintly through the speaker before Vanessa hung up. They had been talking about me. My own wife had been feeding my mother ammunition, reinforcing the narrative that I was unreliable, irresponsible, incapable. I didn't confront her right then. I just nodded and walked upstairs. But a seed of doubt planted itself deep in my chest. How long had this been going on? How many private conversations had they shared? Tearing me down behind my back. I started paying closer attention after that. I noticed how Vanessa would roll her eyes when I talked about work. How she'd sigh dramatically when I stayed late at the office. How she'd make little comments to family members about my obsession with my career. She was supposed to be my partner. Instead, she had become my mother's ally. 2 weeks later, my mother called a family meeting at her house. She claimed it was just a casual get-together, but I knew better. When I arrived, my brother Kyle was already there, along with my stepfather, my aunt, and 2 cousins. They sat in the living room like a tribunal. "Daniel, sit down," my mother said, gesturing to an empty chair in the center of the room. "We need to talk about some concerns we have." I sat, arms crossed, waiting. "We're worried about you," she continued, her tone dripping with false concern. "You're working yourself to exhaustion. Vanessa says you're never home. You're neglecting your marriage. Honestly, it feels like you're running from responsibility again, just in a different way." Kyle nodded. "She's right, Daniel. You've always had this problem. You get obsessed with something, burn out, and then everything falls apart. We've seen it before." My stepfather added, "We just don't want you repeating old mistakes, son." I looked around the room. Every face showed pity, judgment, certainty that they were right and I was wrong. No one asked how I felt. No one asked about my side. They had already decided who I was. I stood up slowly, calmly. "Is there anything else?" I asked. My mother blinked, surprised. "Daniel, we're trying to help you." "I understand," I said evenly. "Thank you for your concern. I'll take it under consideration." I walked toward the door. My mother called after me, her voice rising with frustration. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You run away from hard conversations. You're being cowardly." I stopped at the doorway but didn't turn around. "I'm not running," I said quietly. "I'm just choosing not to engage with people who have already made up their minds about me." I left without another word. My phone buzzed with texts from Kyle and my aunt, accusing me of being disrespectful, immature, and defensive. I deleted them without reading past the first line. Vanessa was furious when I got home. "You embarrass me," she said. "They were trying to help, and you just walked out like a child." I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized something painful. She didn't see me. She saw the version of me my mother had painted, and she believed it. 2 months before my birthday, Vincent called me into his office again. This time, his expression was serious. "We're conducting audits on all partner companies," he said. "Standard procedure, but we received some complaints about quality control and contract compliance. I need someone I trust to oversee the process." He handed me another folder. Inside were preliminary reports flagging several companies for review. Brennan Industrial Solutions was highlighted in red. "Your stepfather's company is one of them," Vincent said carefully. "I know that creates a conflict of interest. If you'd like to recuse yourself, I understand." I shook my head. "No, sir. I can handle it." "You're sure?" "Completely." He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Good. I need objectivity here, Daniel. No favoritism, no protecting anyone. Just facts." Over the next few weeks, I reviewed every document related to Brennan Industrial Solutions. What I found was troubling. Safety shortcuts, missing quality reports, delayed shipments covered up with falsified timestamps. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to violate our contract terms. I documented everything and submitted my findings to Vincent without commentary. My job was to present facts, not make decisions. Vincent called me back in after reviewing my report. "This is thorough work," he said. "Honest work. I appreciate that you didn't try to bury anything." "It's my job, sir." "I know, but not everyone would have your integrity in this situation." He leaned forward. "Here's the reality, Daniel. If we enforce our contract terms, Brennan Industrial Solutions will lose their partnership with us. That's a significant portion of their revenue. They could face serious financial trouble." I kept my expression neutral, even though my chest felt tight. "Do you want to be the one to deliver the notice?" he asked. I thought about my mother and my stepfather, the years of being told I was irresponsible and incapable. I thought about how they would react if they knew I had any part in this. "No, sir," I said. "I think it's better if someone else handles that conversation." He nodded. "Fair enough. But Daniel, you did the right thing here. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." As I left his office, I felt a strange mix of relief and dread. I hadn't protected them, but I also hadn't gone out of my way to hurt them. I had simply done my job. After my birthday party, the gossip started immediately. Relatives called my mother asking who those men in suits were. Coworkers texted me asking if I was in trouble. Neighbors who attended the party speculated wildly. My mother's response was predictable. She told everyone I had staged the whole thing for attention. She claimed I probably hired actors to make myself look important. She said the SUVs were probably rentals. "Daniel's always been dramatic," she told my aunt over the phone, loud enough for me to hear when I stopped by to pick up a dish I'd left behind. "He can't stand not being the center of attention." I didn't correct her. I didn't explain. I just took my dish and left. Vanessa, meanwhile, grew more suspicious. "Who were those men really?" she demanded that night. "And don't tell me it was just work. People from work don't show up in 3 SUVs. "It was work," I said calmly. "They're executives from corporate. That's all. Why won't you tell me the truth?" "I am telling you the truth. You just don't want to believe me." She stared at me, frustration clear on her face, but she dropped it. For now. 2 weeks after my birthday, the audit reports were finalized. Vincent called a board meeting to discuss the findings. I was required to attend, but he invited me anyway. "Your analysis was key to this," he said. "You should be here when we make the final call." The board reviewed the evidence. Brennan Industrial Solutions had violated contract terms repeatedly over 18 months. The violations weren't malicious, but they were consistent, showing a pattern of cutting corners to save money. The vote was unanimous. The contract would be terminated at the end of the quarter. They would be given 90 days to find alternative clients, but our partnership was over. I sat in that meeting room, listening to the decision, and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no guilt, just a strange numbness. This wasn't personal. It was business. My stepfather had made choices, and those choices had consequences. But I knew my family wouldn't see it that way. They would see me. They would find a way to make this my fault. I was right. 3 days after the board meeting, my mother called me. Her voice was different, softer, almost sweet. "Daniel, honey, can we talk?" I knew immediately what this was about. News traveled fast in business circles. My stepfather must have received the termination notice. "Sure, Mom. What's up?" "I just wanted to say I'm sorry about the birthday toast," she said. "I was joking around, and I think it came out wrong. You know I love you, right? I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished." I closed my eyes. "What do you need, Mom?" "What?" "I don't need anything. I just wanted to check in. I heard you got some kind of promotion at work. Regional something." There it was. She knew. She finally knew what I did, and now she was being kind because she needed something. "I heard about your stepfather's contract issue," I said quietly. "I'm sorry that's happening." "Oh, that," she said, her voice brightening with false casualness. "It's just a misunderstanding. I'm sure it can be worked out. Maybe you could put in a good word? Help smooth things over?" "I can't do that, Mom." Silence. "What do you mean you can't?" "I mean I have no authority to change business decisions. That's not how it works." Her tone shifted instantly. "Daniel, your stepfather's company is our livelihood. This could ruin us. You have to help." Over the next week, my mother called me 6 times. Each call was the same. Sweetness at first, then desperation, then anger when I refused to fix things. She didn't apologize for years of humiliation. She didn't acknowledge how she treated me. Her remorse was entirely conditional, existing only because she needed me. "You're choosing your job over your family," she accused during our last call. "I'm choosing integrity over favoritism," I replied. "That's the same thing as choosing against us." I realized then that she would never understand. In her mind, family meant blind loyalty, regardless of right or wrong. It meant protecting each other even when someone made mistakes. It meant I owed her simply because we shared blood, but I didn't owe her. Not anymore. I stopped answering her calls. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped trying to make her see my perspective. It was exhausting and it was pointless. Vanessa noticed my withdrawal. "You're being really cold to your mother," she said one evening. "She's only talking to me because she wants something," I said. "The second I'm no longer useful, she'll go back to treating me like garbage." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. I've lived it for 35 years. Vanessa shook her head. "You're being paranoid." But I wasn't. I was finally seeing clearly. Vanessa's pressure intensified as the days passed. She cornered me in the kitchen one evening, her arms crossed, her expression hard. "You need to help your stepfather," she said firmly. "This is tearing your mother apart. You have the power to fix this, and you're choosing not to. That's cruel." "I don't have the power to fix it," I said. "The decision was made by the board. I'm not on the board. But you have influence. You could talk to your boss. You could advocate for them. And compromise my integrity? Risk my job? For what? So my stepfather can keep cutting corners?" She stepped closer, her voice rising. "So your family can survive. Do you even care about them? Do they care about me?" I shot back. "When I went through bankruptcy, where were they? When I was living in a basement, did your mother call to check on me? Did my brother offer help? They didn't care about me then. They only care now because they need something." Vanessa's face flushed with anger. "You're being selfish." "Maybe I am," I said quietly, "but I'm done setting myself on fire to keep other people warm." She stared at me, and I saw something shift in her eyes. Disgust, maybe, or disappointment. "You're not the man I thought you were," she said. "No," I agreed. "I'm not the man you wanted me to be." I drew a clear boundary with both my mother and Vanessa. I told them I would not use my position at work to interfere with business decisions. I would not advocate for special treatment. I would not compromise my ethics. My mother responded by calling me ungrateful, heartless, and a disappointment. Vanessa accused me of abandoning my family. My brother sent a long text explaining how I was destroying our mother's happiness. None of them asked how I felt. None of them cared about the years I spent being belittled. None of them acknowledged that I had done nothing wrong. I had simply refused to do something unethical. But they weren't done. A week later, my mother made a move I didn't see coming. She called my office, asked to speak with Vincent, and told his assistant that she had urgent information about my character that he needed to know. Vincent, to his credit, didn't entertain her. But he did call me into his office to let me know. "Your mother tried to reach me," he said carefully. "She seemed upset. She made some claims about your stability and judgment. I didn't engage, but I wanted you to be aware." My blood ran cold. "What did she say?" "That you have a history of poor decisions, financial irresponsibility, and emotional instability. She suggested I reconsider your promotion." I felt humiliation wash over me, followed by rage. My own mother had tried to sabotage my career. "I'm sorry that happened, sir," I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. Vincent waved a hand dismissively. "Don't apologize. Family drama happens. But I do need to ask, is there any truth to what she said?" I took a deep breath. I went through a bankruptcy 8 years ago after divorce. I rebuilt my credit and finances since then. I've had steady employment here for 7 years, and my performance reviews speak for themselves. "They do," Vincent agreed, "which is why I'm not concerned. But I appreciate your honesty." He paused, studying me. "Daniel, I've seen men crumble under family pressure. The fact that you've maintained your integrity through this tells me everything I need to know about your character." Relief flooded through me. "Thank you, sir." "Don't thank me. Just keep doing what you're doing." That weekend, I compiled every performance review, project completion report, and commendation I'd received in 7 years. I organized them into a folder and submitted them to HR, creating a documented record of my work. If my mother tried again, there would be evidence to counter her claims. But I also realized something painful. She was willing to destroy me to get what she wanted. She didn't care about my career, my happiness, or my future. She only cared about herself. 3 weeks later, Vincent called me into his office with a smile on his face. "Congratulations, Daniel. The board approved your promotion. You're officially our new regional director, effective immediately." I felt a rush of pride, accomplishment, and something deeper, validation. Years of quiet work had paid off. Years of rebuilding had led to this moment. "Thank you, sir. I won't let you down." "I know you won't." The announcement went out that afternoon via company-wide email. My photo appeared on the corporate website under the leadership section. Press releases were sent to industry publications. By evening, the news was public. My phone exploded with congratulatory messages from coworkers and friends. But the messages I didn't receive were just as telling. Nothing from my mother. Nothing from my brother. Nothing from Vanessa. They knew, and they were silent. That silence told me everything. My mother found out through Facebook. One of her friends shared the company's press release, tagging her with a message, "Your son is doing amazing things." She called me immediately, her voice shaking with rage. "You got promoted and didn't tell me?" "I didn't think you'd care," I said calmly. "Of course I care. I'm your mother. You tried to get me fired 2 weeks ago." Silence. Then her voice turned cold. "I was trying to protect you from yourself. You're making terrible decisions." "No, Mom. I'm making decisions you don't agree with. There's a difference." She hung up on me. Over the next few days, I watched from a distance as my family's world began to unravel. Brennan Industrial Solutions lost our contract. Without that revenue stream, my stepfather struggled to pay his staff. He laid off 6 employees, then 12. Then he closed one of his warehouses. My mother blamed me publicly. She told relatives I had sabotaged my own stepfather out of spite. She painted me as vindictive and cruel. My brother sent me a message calling me a traitor, but I hadn't sabotaged anyone. I had simply told the truth. By the end of the quarter, Brennan Industrial Solutions filed for bankruptcy. My stepfather lost a company he'd built over 15 years. The news devastated my mother. She called me once, sobbing, begging me to help them financially. Please, Daniel, we're losing everything. You have money now. You have power. You can help us. I can't, Mom. You mean you won't? I mean I can't keep rescuing people who only value me when they need something. She screamed at me then, words I won't repeat. She said I was heartless, that I was dead to her, that I had destroyed her life. When she finally ran out of breath, I said quietly, "You destroyed this, Mom, not me. You chose to humiliate me, belittle me, and then sabotage me. You made your choices. These are the consequences." I hung up and blocked her number. Vanessa confronted me that night. "Your family is falling apart, and you're doing nothing. They're not my responsibility. They're your family. Family doesn't treat each other the way they treated me." She looked at me with something close to hatred. "I don't even know who you are anymore." "Maybe you never did," I said. 2 months later, there was a family gathering at my aunt's house. I wasn't invited, but Vanessa went without me. She came home hours later, her face pale. "Your mother had a breakdown," she said quietly. She stood up in front of everyone and screamed about how you ruined her life. She said you were cruel, heartless, that you destroyed your stepfather on purpose. What did everyone else say? Most of them just sat there. A few people defended her. But your cousin Brian asked her to list one time she ever supported you. I looked up, surprised. What did she say? She couldn't. She just cried and said you were twisting everything. Vanessa sat down heavily. I realized something tonight. I've been listening to her version of you for so long that I stopped seeing the real you. I didn't respond. It was too late for apologies. "I think we need to separate," she said softly. "I think you're right." We divorced quietly 6 months later. No drama, no fighting. We just acknowledged that we had become strangers. The last time I saw my mother face to face was at my cousin's wedding a year after my birthday party. She cornered me near the coat check, her eyes red. "I need to talk to you," she said. I waited. "Everyone thinks I'm a terrible mother," she said, her voice breaking. "They think I drove you away. They think I'm the villain. You humiliated me at my own birthday party." I said calmly, "You call me irresponsible in front of everyone I know. You try to get me fired. You blame me for consequences that weren't my fault. What did you expect? I was trying to motivate you. No, you were trying to control me. And when I wouldn't let you, you tried to destroy me." She stared at me, tears streaming down her face. "I'm your mother. Doesn't that mean anything?" "It used to," I said, "but you taught me that titles don't mean much without respect." I walked away and I didn't look back. Vanessa reached out 6 months after our divorce. She asked to meet for coffee. I almost said no, but curiosity won. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe. She looked different, tired, older. "I need to be honest with you," she said. "I sided with your mother because I didn't believe in you. I thought she was right. I thought you were irresponsible, unstable, always chasing the next thing." I sipped my coffee and waited. "I was wrong," she continued. "I see that now. You weren't irresponsible. You were rebuilding, and I was too blind to see it. Why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve better. From me, from your family, from everyone." She paused. "I'm sorry, Daniel." I nodded slowly. "I appreciate that. Is there any chance?" "No," I said gently. "There isn't." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I understand." We finished our coffee in silence. When we parted ways, I felt closure. Not forgiveness, exactly, but an ending. 1 year after that birthday party, my life looked completely different. I had moved into a new apartment downtown, decorated exactly how I wanted. I had been promoted again, this time to vice president of operations. I traveled frequently, managed teams across multiple states, and earned respect from colleagues who valued my judgment. I started dating someone new, a woman named Audrey who worked in marketing. She asked about my family once, and I told her the truth. She didn't judge. She just listened. My mother, from what I heard through extended family, had moved to a smaller house. My stepfather took a job managing someone else's warehouse. My brother rarely spoke to her anymore. She had isolated herself through bitterness. Vanessa struggled after our divorce. She moved back in with her parents and worked part-time. I didn't take pleasure in that. I just noted it and moved on. One evening, I received an email from my mother. The subject line read, "Please read." I stared at it for a long time before opening it. The email was short. "Daniel, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I need you to know that I see now what I did wrong. I let my own fears and insecurities poison the way I saw you. I made you small because I felt small. I'm sorry. I'm not asking for money or favors. I'm just asking you to know that I'm sorry. Mom." I read it 3 times. Then I wrote back, "I forgive you, but I can't have a relationship with you right now. Maybe someday. Take care of yourself." I sent it and closed my laptop. 2 months later, I hosted another birthday party. This time, it was small, just Audrey, a few close friends, and my cousin Brian, who had defended me at that family gathering. We ordered pizza, played cards, and laughed until midnight. No one mocked me. No one questioned my choices. No one made me feel small. As I blew out the candles on my cake, I realized something important. I hadn't won by destroying my mother or proving her wrong. I had won by building a life where her opinion didn't matter anymore. I had become untouchable, not through cruelty, but through boundaries. And that was the sweetest victory of all.